Okay, I'm not sure if anybody can see this, but trying a new Facebook Live app, which apparently lets me control the camera, which is my iPhone on a tripod there. Lets me control it from this thing. I'm trying to see if you guys can see it, if this works, and if the comments show up. That's the important thing. I want to be able to read comments in the comment section. Aha! I'm seeing some comments from Ryan Waters and Liam Carroll. Hello! Okay, so I guess this works. I'm not sure what the delay is, but I'm seeing 3 comments so far. The weird thing is, on the Facebook Live app, I can see, and can you hear me okay? Am I loud enough? On the Facebook Live app, I can see how many people are watching, but I can't see how many people are watching this. So that's interesting. Hi to Richard Hill, hi to Liam. Liam, what's my name on Xbox? My username, believe it or not, on my Xbox, and bear in mind this is a 9-year-old account, is Raheem the Dream. But I do have a policy of not talking shop when I'm playing Xbox. It's my downtime, as you can see here. So if you want to play video games with me, that's perfectly fine, but I don't want to talk politics when we're doing it. I don't know how many people can hear this. The delay, Doug Stokes says about 20 seconds. That seems about fine with me. Hello to everyone. Gosh, lots of hellos. I just don't know how many people are watching, and you'd think, I mean, this is a cool app, but you'd think it would tell me how many people are watching like the Facebook Live app does. Because I could be talking to one person. Not that that wouldn't be worth it, but I would like to know. Right. No, I don't like PS4, I'm afraid. 175 viewers at the moment. Hi to Rob. A lot of people here. So the reason I wanted to do this is because following that Sky interview, I got thousands and thousands of messages. I think I got 8,000 mentions on Twitter, 3,000 odd, I think, Facebook messages in total. And I went through most of them today. Unfortunately, I can't get through all of them, but I went through most of the Facebook ones certainly today. And the thing that I found really shocking, and the reason I do this, is because a lot of people were saying, oh, you know, nice one, get stuck in, so on and so forth. And then I said, yeah, fine, I'm happy to keep doing it, but what are you guys doing? And more often than not, the response was either I'm too scared to do something because I don't want to lose my job, or I wouldn't know where to start, or I haven't voted in so long, I don't care about the political process, it's all stitched up against me and I can't do anything about it. Well, so I wanted to jump on here today, and I was trying to figure out a way to actually sit down and have a nice chat with you guys, rather than the old Facebook live streams I used to do where the camera was looking up my nose and everything, and have a chat with you guys about that, because that's really disturbing to me. Yeah, all right, fine, the political process is convoluted and is designed to keep us out, but that doesn't mean that they can keep us out. I mean, you know, Sky News doesn't like having me on, but they know they have to have me on because of the size of my audience, the size of Breitbart London as a website, everything that we're doing, everything that we're saying, being on top and ahead of this. And I don't expect you all to be running news sites and going on television, and by all means, if you can do it, do it. But especially from my time here in the United States, I'm here in Washington, D.C. right now. This is my office in D.C. Actually, it's my house, but this is my office within my house. The thing I've learned about here is the Americans, and I know there are lots of Americans in here, so hello to you all, and thank you for teaching me as much as you've taught me. The Americans just don't know how to take no for an answer in their politics. They'll get involved at every single and any single level that they can, and that's what we need to relearn in England. That's how we used to do it. And I know it's late in England now. I've been trying to get this thing going for a couple of hours, but I'm not as tech savvy as I used to be. Maybe I am now again. And so here's the thing. You know, my American listeners to our radio show and Facebook friends and fans and tweeters and all that kind of stuff, they will get involved at any level they can. They will go onto their school boards. They will go to their local council meetings. They will write letters. They will do petitions, walk around their neighborhoods, getting their fellow neighbors to sign petitions. They'll write to their congressmen. They'll call their congressmen. They'll call their senators. They'll call the White House, like really call the White House non-stop. And make their voices heard. And they don't do it in the sense that, you know, they don't do it from an angry perspective, although we're all angry about what's going on. They do it from a constructive perspective where people actually have to take notice and listen to what they're doing and saying. They threaten to withhold their votes, which is the most important thing. You know, when you call your MP or you write a letter or whatever it is, the scariest thing for those people is telling them, well, fine, I was going to vote for you and I'm not going to vote for you. Or fine, I was going to donate to your campaign and I'm not going to do that anymore. Give me a second, because this iPad is low on battery and for some reason it's stopped charging. I'm just going to push that back into the wall. It's a little bit of a Spartan setup I have here, although it doesn't look like it, because I've made it not look like it, but it is. Okay, fine, we're charging again. So, on that note, that's how I wanted to start it off. You don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You don't have to have, you know, an education in the classics. I certainly didn't. I went to a school called Bishop Salt School in West London, not a very good one. I went to the University of Westminster, not a very good one. And certainly, you know, 11 years ago when I was selling video games in West London, I never dreamed of doing what I'm doing. I mean, one day I'll set up the camera in the other room and I'll show you out that window, about 2 blocks down is the US Capitol building. And I never dreamed of being here and doing any of this, being on Sky and doing any of this. And I say that as if it's, you know, a dream. It's not. A lot of it is a nightmare, right? Fighting against the powers that be and having everything that they throw at you is pretty nightmarish, but somebody had to do it, and I think all of us have to do it, actually. I don't think it can be left up to, you know, 20 talking heads on TV. It's all well and good going on TV, handing Gamal Fanbule his arse live on television, and that's fun, but real change comes at a local level and a smaller level, and sure, a national level too, but we're not even there. So I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Left hand is covering the iPad mic. Oh, I didn't realise I was talking into the iPad. I thought I was talking into the iPhone. All right, fine. Is that better? Maybe that's better now. I'm just gonna wait and see if you can hear me again. Maybe it's the iPhone that's the problem. How about that? No, it can't be that way. That way, is that the mic? Gosh, well, do I have to hold it like this then? That's a bit crap. Okay, fine. All right. Okay, fine. So, did you hear most of it? Because I don't think I want to repeat all of that. Oh, was there no sound at all? Right, fine. So basically what I'm saying is, and the gist of what I'm saying is, I got so many messages saying, yeah, good job, mate, on TV, keep going. And my point is, you know, it's not keep going. It's not me or, you know, whatever, Katie Hopkins and whoever on TV. And this is something that we stress to the US audience as well. It is about you guys getting involved. So on that note, you know, I've been talking for 5 or so minutes, a little bit more. Let's talk, and I'll check this out for questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. You know, I like to do these for a good 45 minutes. The one thing I will say is if you don't want to get involved yourself, and I don't buy most of the excuse I've got kids and I've got a job and all this stuff. Yeah, fine, I get that. I don't expect you to be running for Prime Minister. But getting involved doesn't mean abandoning your job or abandoning your kids. You could take a Saturday afternoon out to go leafleting. It might be as simple as donating to a cause or a candidate. And so what I was going to say is if you really don't think you can get involved in any way, you have to get involved via your wallet. And I accept, there's a thing up here, Patreon. I don't know if you can see the link there. Let me see if I can, no I can't. Patreon, patreon.com/Raheem Kassam is if you want to help me. But you don't need to help me, you can, and I appreciate it, and every single penny goes into doing more and reaching more people, but there's lots of things, think tanks, institutions, campaigns you can give to, whether it's a $5 or a tenner, or 50 quid or 100 quid or whatever you can afford. That's how it always used to work, and that's how it works over here in the US. And when you have frustrations of, why don't we have more of our voices? Why don't we have more of us out there doing stuff? Well, look, I mean, all of this whole setup here costs money. This situation I've got going on here costs money. And yeah, fine, I have a salary. But honestly, without my Patreons, who I think I've got 26 now, without them, I wouldn't be able to do some of the extracurricular stuff I do. In addition to running Breitbart News, I broadcast for about 15 hours live radio a week here in the US. I write several articles a week. I manage a team of 8 in London. There's a lot going on in addition to everything else I do that you probably don't know, which is going around town, talking to sources, reading tons and tons of books to make sure that we know what's going on out there, and we know what happened in the past. By the way, as well, one of the things I'm reading at the moment is this one, Reflections of a Statesman. This is almost every single interview that Enoch Powell ever gave. And you can learn a lot from not repeating the same mistakes that we made in our history, that we made in our past. And Enoch was a classics professor, so he was all about that. So I'm learning a lot from him at the moment. So once upon a time, I'll tell you what, at the end of the Second World War, to give you an example, the Conservative Party had over 1 million members. Those are people who paid money to be members of the Conservative Party, to give, to have their voices heard, etc., etc. Now, the Conservative Party has about, I think, 90,000 members. And so where do they get their money from? Where do they, who's influencing them? It's the rich corporate donors. So we might complain, nobody represents us, but we're not actually doing anything to force them to represent us. If we are active members and we take an active part in the process, either in person or by your wallets or in your communities, then you can complain. But we've actually let ourselves down in this regard. And I give a lot of money. I give money to campaigns. I give money to think tanks. I give money to charities. So I don't think there's any reason we all can't do it. And again, it could just be a $5. You might just abstain from that 8th pint one night. But we have to do it. So on that note, I'm going to slide down to the comment section here. I know there's been a ton of comments that I'm not going to be able to address because they've gone by 10 minutes ago, but I'm going to start at the bottom here. Our voices aren't heard. Unfortunately, the rich are out funding us. Now MPs tell us what to think. Exactly. Jack Jowett says, Raheem, will you put yourself forward for leader of UKIP? I'm waiting to hear. I spoke to Nigel Farage this morning. I'm waiting to hear back from what he thinks, if that's salvageable. Adam Barrett says, Raheem, is the UK salvageable, or will we just leave to America where freedom is actually valued? I think the average Briton does value freedom. I think when you go out there and you talk to people, there's a reason this Sky interview that I did got, I think, 5 million views in total. I think because people don't want political correctness and they do value freedom, but they've just been browbeaten into believing that most people do want that, and they don't. And so I do think it's salvageable. Do you think there is a platform for people to jump into politics? You don't need a platform, Gary. just go along to your school board meeting, go along to your council meeting, go along to when people are doing street stalls or whatever it is. Just get involved. Look, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care if you're a member, if you're a voter, if you're a Labour voter and you feel like you want to get involved with the Labour Party out there. I think everybody should get involved, whatever their politics is. And I'd prefer to have a fair fight with real people than a stitched up fight with the big corporates, and that's the fight that we're having at the moment. Deplorable from Ohio, welcome from Ohio. Helen Oliver says, what's your real opinion for what's happening in the UK? My real opinion is that we got lazy and we've only got ourselves to blame. That's my real opinion. Do you know what? If I wanted to make a ton of money out of politics, I wouldn't be on the anti-establishment side of this, right? I had somebody write to me earlier this week and said, they said something, and then I have this automated reply on Facebook, I'm sure some of you have seen it, that says, look, I can't answer all of these people, but I'd be grateful if you give me some cash via Patreon, helps me to do more, blah, blah, blah. And somebody went, oh, I see you're just in it for the money. If I was in it for the money, I'd be working for Goldman Sachs. If I was in it, I'm not stupid, if I was in it for the money, I could go work for any of the big establishment organisations, and they could be on the right as well. Like 2 blocks north of me, right here, is the Heritage Foundation, $120 million budget a year. I could go and work for them overnight and make a ton more money than what I'm making now. So I don't like this whole, oh, you're profiteering. No, I'm trying to get by and do stuff. And if you think I'm profiteering of it, then just don't follow me. That's as simple as it is. Somebody says, what product do you use in your hair? I don't really use anything, if I'm honest with you. Sometimes I flatten it on the top with a bit of conditioner. But it's is it Sunday? I think it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday, and this is my casual Sunday attire and hair. And actually, I haven't showered today, so I'm pretty disgusting. Let's see. Roughly after how long from waking up in the morning do you put your glasses on? I'm half an hour, 45 minutes on a Sunday. I'm about 30 seconds because I can't see anything without my glasses. Hugh Chatterton says, what a great name, by the way. Hugh Chatterton says, I did leaflets for Vote Leave for a week and loved it. Lots of conversations on the doorstep, would recommend it. That's what I'm talking about. Mark Titcomb says, I'll buy you 8 pints, Raheem. You're a legend. Do you think there'll be a second referendum? Okay, instead of buying me those 8 pints, buy yourself 4 and put the price of the other 4 into a cause you believe in. Do I think there'll be a second referendum? What Nigel Farage was getting at this week when he said that he thinks there's going to be a second referendum is that there isn't a parliamentary majority at the moment for pushing a deal through, because now they can vote on whatever deal we get. So he thinks the Commons rejects whatever deal we get from the EU. And that either forces a general election or a second referendum, and the powers that be would prefer a second referendum than to overhaul the government again. Do I buy that? I buy the logic. Do I think it is a fait accompli? Does it have to happen? I don't think so. But that relies on us, being threatening in the sense that, we can withhold our votes. We can go to MPs and say, right, if you don't do this, then you're going to get replaced, or I'm going to run against you, or you're going to run against them, or something like that. And we don't do that anymore. The left is very good at this. 38 degrees, momentum, all of that stuff. They're very good at the political threats, and they're actually good at the physical threats as well. At our side, for instance, we just moan about it now, and I'm just tired of it. Georgia Park says, Raheem, you're such a handsome devil. Well, thank you very much. What's your opinion on Sadiq Khan? He's running Britain. He is. He's running Britain. He's telling everyone what to think. He's telling Theresa May what to think, and she thinks it. He's telling the political establishment what to think, and they think it. And there's no doubt in my mind, I've said this for a long time, that he wants to be Prime Minister. And unless we do something about it, he's going to be Prime Minister. Can you imagine that? Let's see. I'm just scrolling through. Keith Tucker says he supports and subscribes to Tommy. I guess he's talking about Tommy Robinson. Well, good, fine. If you find something that you enjoy and you like, and they're providing a service to you, then why not? I mean, the number of people that think that people should do this off their own backs, that I should, for instance, spend every penny of my salary and take on debt to do this stuff is extraordinary. I mean, I love doing it. It's my passion. But at the same time, collectively out there, we can get so much more done if we all lump in together. Somebody says, dig your house slippers. Yeah, they're all right. They're just, $10 I think they were on Amazon. Angela Monteith says, I never heard of you till today and I think you're a top man. Thank you very much, Angela. Adrian Crook says, can you get an interview with James O'Brien and LBC? I've tried many times. I've asked James O'Brien to have debates with me. He doesn't want to have them. Can you blame him? When he sees how Gamal Fanbulay and Dermot Murnahan and all these guys fare, I'm not sure he wants to go down that road. David Stanton says, what do you think of Milo Yiannopoulos? He's a friend of mine. He was texting me this morning with supportive messages about taking over UKIP. James Lation says, amazing guy, terrible console. He's talking about my Xbox. I love my Xbox. Donna says, listen to you on the Patriot channel. For the English in the room, the Patriot channel is a channel on the Sirius XM network. That's where Breitbart has a morning and evening show, radio show, 3 hours each. Alexandra Samway says, loved your Sky News interview. I'm following you now, but I have to turn in, otherwise no one will be up in the morning for work or school. It's a national holiday here in the United States. It's Martin Luther King Day tomorrow, so I get to stay up a little later. I actually don't. I have to host the radio show in the morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., but when that means being up at about 4:30, so I will turn in a couple of hours too. It's lots of interesting comments here. Gillian Schwartz says, how do you feel about being called far right? I don't really let the name calling bother me. There was a piece in The Guardian this weekend that called me hard right. I think that's probably more accurate than far right. I think actually right and left are going out of fashion now. It's trite, but right and wrong seems more applicable. Far right, I don't think people really even have a definition of that. I think the extremists are the establishment. I really do. The reason I think that is because normality, especially when we talk about things like immigration, normality used to be, net migration at 50,000, 60,000. We now have net migration in the United Kingdom about 300-odd thousand, right? That seems like an extremist proposition. And I think it's also an extremist proposition to say, zero migration. But normality was 50-odd thousand for most of the 20th century. So I don't think of myself as far right or hard right, but I don't let it bother me if they want to, if they want to resort to names calling. What do I think of Scottish independence? Not much. I'm not a fan of it. I prefer the United Kingdom united, but if the Scottish people want it, fine. I think that's what, isn't that what it comes down to? Aaron Keatley says, do you want me to start getting membership nominations for your UKIP leadership candidacy? Well, look, I'm not going to stop you. Stephen Grimes says, Wenger out. I think after the last 5 years, they're talking about the Arsenal manager. Although Man City lost today, and that's wonderful, and it's probably the only time I've cheered on Liverpool, and I know I'm going to get shit for this now. As a Man United fan, I couldn't be happier. Cue the comments. Kev Ward says, Raheem, we need you in charge of UKIP, but can you stand the grief? I'm fine with the grief from the political establishment and the media and all these sorts of things, because I know a lot of their dirty little secrets as well, and I'm not afraid to play rough with them. But the grief that I'm not keen on is the fact that UKIP is currently a horse run by committee, or designed by committee. It's run by the National Executive Committee. And it's a bunch of talentless people who've never done a real day's work in their lives and know that if they left, they couldn't get jobs elsewhere. I mean, they might become estate agents or something, but they couldn't get political jobs elsewhere, which is what they really want. And so they're clinging on to UKIP and sinking it with them. I mean, I can't believe that the current chairman is still the current chairman. I can't believe the National Executives Committee is still around. It's an absolute joke. And I talked about this all throughout last year as well. Why is Theresa May so non-confrontational, asked John Donnelly. She never speaks out and tries to unite the people. Theresa May is non-confrontational because she doesn't have any reason to confront the tribulations that we have. She's quite happy with the managed decline situation. Managed decline. Think about that. We used to criticise managed decline. I mean, I was too young, but I remember reading and learning about history growing up of Thatcher's take towards Liverpool, for instance. She wanted managed decline for Liverpool, and people went wild about it, gutting our industries and our manufacturing and our pride as a nation, selling off our nation effectively. And we used to criticise that, and now we don't. Theresa May has no legacy to leave the country. And I'm sad for her that she can't have children, but she has no children, and so she doesn't understand what it is to pass a nation on. Now, I have no children either, but I would suggest to you that I'm slightly unique in the sense, you can't be slightly unique. I'm unique in the sense that I understand that the people that have children out there, they really want to leave a better nation, whether it's a United States or a United Kingdom, for their children, and I'm happy to march arm in arm, side by side with them to do that. Angela Merkel, Emmanuel Macron, the Italian bloke, all of these people, childless leaders, don't have skin in the game. And that's why I don't think Theresa May or anybody confronts these issues, because they don't know what it's like. They aren't looking at the future and having a vested interest in it. Still going. How many people are in here now? Somebody answer me that question, please. George Appleton says XM 125 in the house. That's the Sirius XM station I'll be hosting on tomorrow morning. Stephen Goran says the same thing. Listen to you every morning when you're live on the Patriot channel. You call it what it is. Keep up the great work. Mukul Chakravarti says, have you and Douglas Murray spoken about immigration and no-go zones issue? I see a great meeting of the minds on the horizon. Actually, Douglas and I used to work together for a good 3 years. We used to work together about 50 yards from each other. And if you don't know who Douglas Murray is and you haven't read the book, he's got this great new book out, mostly because it's patchwork together from reporting done on Breitbart London and of course Douglas's own analysis on this stuff. It's fantastic. It's called The Strange Death of Europe. It's absolutely phenomenal. So buy it. Stephen Goran says, can we get your book in large print? Not that I know of, but it's available on audiobook and Kindle. I know you can enlarge the font on a Kindle as well. Let's keep going down here. What do you think of Jacob Miggy? I think you mean Jacob Rees-Mogg. Should he be PM? I'd much prefer Jacob Rees-Mogg to be PM than the current one or anyone else in Parliament, quite frankly. Jacob Rees-Mogg is an authentic person. Yeah, fine, he's a Tory toff, but it's authentic, it's not put on, and that's all we can ask for, I think, in our elected leaders. There's a lot of things that Donald Trump says and does that we might not necessarily immediately like, but then you look into why he's saying it and why he's doing it, and usually it's because of his authenticity. I think that means more than who you are, where you've come from, and any of that. Mark Titcomb says, Guardian is so left that even middle ground looks far right to them. I actually do like The Guardian, though. When it does reporting, I think it's better than The Times or better than The Telegraph. I think its reporters are better reporters. And yeah, it's left-wing, but it owns it. It doesn't pretend it's not, which CNN pretends it's not and BBC pretends it's not. Let's keep going. Hugh Hattrick says, we desperately need a Fox News channel in the UK. That's funny, because a lot of the Americans in here will tell you how Fox News has drifted left, and especially after the old man dies or retires, when James Murdoch takes over fully, it's going to go into a full social justice warrior network. Sean Hannity's great, Tucker Carlson's great, Laura Ingraham are great, but the news coverage on a daily basis is more and more left-leaning by the day. Let's see. Ian Molyneux says, do you think London will now always have a Muslim mayor? I don't think so, and I sincerely hope not. But you can see how the demographics are changing, and who is being pushed out to vote en masse, and who the apathetic people are. I mean, at the last election in London, what were the choices? You had Sadiq Khan, who mobilised the hard left, the centre left, a lot of independents, a lot of people with migrant backgrounds who are living in London, and that I don't just mean South Asian and whatever, a ton of French people in London. He mobilised a bunch of people, and on the other side, what did you have? You had Zach Goldsmith, an incredibly inauthentic person, especially considering who his father was, Sir James Goldsmith. An incredibly inauthentic person, Zach Goldsmith, who just couldn't unite people and fought a horrific campaign. I hope that answers the question. What's my favourite pizza topping? That's a tough one, because I do like pepperoni. I also like ground beef. Have to have some cherry peppers or some jalapenos or something like that. But here's what might shock you. I have to have mayonnaise on my pizza. Or maybe on the side to dip it in, but I don't know what it is. I know that's weird, but I love that. Do you follow cricket? I don't follow cricket. Sorry. I used to play cricket at school. I used to be a great wicket keeper, but I don't enjoy watching it. I have been down to the Capital One Arena here in Washington DC a couple of times and watched some NHL games. I can't stand NFL. I can't stand basketball, but ice hockey is pretty good. Lynn McNichol asks, why can't you start your own party? That has occurred to me. There's a lot of legal loopholes to jump through to make sure that happens, but that has occurred to me. Several of those questions. Let's keep going. There are lots of comments here. A lot of them are not questions, so I'm just breezing past them, but I am reading them. So thank you very much for that. Aaron Embleton asks, what do you think of For Britain? Well, there's a new political party in England called For Britain, in the United Kingdom called For Britain, run by an anti-Sharia campaigner called Anne-Marie Waters. I've yet to see that For Britain has... I don't want to be rude, so I'm just going to pick my words carefully. I've yet to see that For Britain has mastered the art of messaging and campaigning and digital strategy or anything like that. So I'm watching. But I've had some pretty bad experiences with For Britain supporters, and I realise a lot of them used to be UKIP supporters too. But I found some of them to be terribly abusive, and that's not to say that all of them are. And that's not to say that that's my experience with the vast majority of them, but I have had that experience with many of them. And I think it's born out, I can understand it, by the way, I think it's born out of a frustration of not being given fair media time, of not being given a fair crack of the whip, but they need to tighten up. The website is particularly poor. I'm not entirely clear what sort of platform they're going to run on, so I think they need to clarify that stuff before I can make a full judgment. Anne-Marie Waters I've known for years, and she's written for my site, and I've given her advice, and she's given me advice, and we've campaigned together on the anti-Sharia stuff, so I don't wish her any ill will. I wish her the best in what she's doing, but they need to get their shit together quickly. Colleen Malone says, you coming to DC anytime soon? This is DC, outside my window. That's where I live. I'm here on Capitol Hill, Colleen. Let's keep going. What do you think, Karen Kelly, what do you think about the police wanting to stop the paedophile hunters on social media? Yeah, I don't know that the police do want to stop them. I know there's been some consternation about, especially when it comes to Pakistani men being caught. There was a story recently that we're going to be covering in depth about an imam who was recently caught trying to seduce a young boy, and of course the political establishment don't want to address that. So we're keeping a close eye on it. I didn't realise the police were trying to stop the paedophile hunters, but there are groups of people out there who are actively finding and hunting out habitual paedophiles in Great Britain, and I think they're doing a great job, a great service, and something that our police should be doing. Wow, hundreds of people in here now, 500 people nearly, you guys are telling me, 424, 425, 427, 431. That's really great. Make sure, by the way, when we get off this stream, you click the share button. I know it's late in the UK now. Make sure you click that share button, post this out to your friends. I'll do a bunch of these. If there's enough interest, I'll keep doing these things. Now I've got the setup. I actually just moved into this place, so the internet and everything wasn't in until recently. Oh yeah, the other thing about this app, I don't know if you guys can see that. The other thing about this app is that I can't see if there are likes or love hearts or laughy emojis or anything like that. So I just have to guess what you guys think. Gosh, I'm looking at the comments. I'm a little bit far behind in some of them, so I'm just going to keep scrolling. Azad Arieh says, "Are you a Muslim, sir?" I was born into a Muslim family, an Ismaili Muslim family, for those of you that want to look it up, but I decided it wasn't for me, and I am now nothing. That's how it is. Stefan Pike says, "Is your book for sale in the UK?" Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. That's probably the best place to do it. Hi, Raheem from Newcastle. Hi, Newcastle from Raheem. Let's see. CRTV is good. Yes, Conservative Review TV is good, says Naomi. I agree with that. Loving the socks, says Claire Louise. Yeah, they're all right. They're not my favourite socks, but they're all right. Thank you. Yes, a lot of Americans saying how they don't like Fox anymore. Anna Eichhoff Wood says, "Yes, I agree. Fox is drifting left, and we conservatives in America are turning to One America News." I can vouch for that. I've noticed a lot of people doing that. Georgia asks, Raheem, have you or Breitbart been offered a show on Fox News? No, we haven't. Rupert Murdoch doesn't like us. Rupert Murdoch gives to Open Borders charities, actually is the chairman of an Open Borders organisation called Project for a New American Economy. I know a lot of you don't know that. Its sister organisation is a group called Forward.us, FWD.us, and the chairman of that is Mark Zuckerberg. So a lot of people think Fox is, some sort of right-wing tub-thumping organisation. It's really not. And Rupert Murdoch is not that guy. Let's keep going. Yes, Jack Jowett says he likes mayo with pizza too. Brilliant. Jennifer Comer says, new listener and can't hear a thing. I hope most of you can hear me. There's a little icon at the bottom of the... How do I do it? At the bottom of the screen around there or something? Around there or something? Which sometimes is muted, so you can try that. Linda Lewis says, do you like horse racing? I've never raced a horse, but I can enjoy horse racing. I also don't get enough time to watch something that I used to watch a lot, which is F1. That's funny. Some people vehemently disagreeing with mayonnaise on my pizza. And now, of course, it's 7 p.m. and I'm hungry and I'm thinking about getting dinner and I'm thinking about getting pizza with mayonnaise. Patty Lambert says sweet chili sauce is good too. Let's keep going. You should interview Douglas Murray. Yeah, I could do that. He texted me this morning, actually, and said... I was looking for my phone, and then I realised I'm broadcasting on it. He texted me this morning saying that he really enjoyed the Sky interview and found it very funny. Kieran Murphy says, do you live in London? I have a place to stay in London, but I'm currently in Washington, D.C. Ian Askew says, switch off your TV before you get screen burn. I think this will be okay for a few more minutes. But thank you for the recommendation. Marie Kemp says, why are you living in Washington? Because I work for Breitbart News and we have a radio show here and I had a lot of responsibility here. So that's why I'm here at the moment. That's how it is. And also, I've got to tell you, I've learned a lot and I can't wait to come back to London and implement the things that they do here. And to the Americans watching this, and my audience on Sirius XM, you guys have taught me so much and deserve a great lot of credit for what we're going to do in England this year. Irene Sandbrook says, what's your view on Tommy Robinson? I've been quite clear about my view on Tommy Robinson. I think he's been right about so much going on down the years. For those who don't know, Tommy was the former leader of a group called the English Defence League, which was a street movement that somewhat turned problematic, and Tommy left as a result. But he does some great work now, especially exposing the political left and the mainstream media. I talk to him often. I've interviewed him. You can see that interview on YouTube. I interviewed him for over an hour, and for what people don't usually allow him to talk freely about, I think I gave him the ability to talk freely about his whole experiences growing up in Luton as an average working class bloke, and I think he has contributed a lot to the national discourse, especially regarding grooming and rape gangs. He was calling it out years before anyone else was. Let's see. James Noble, when you were being interviewed on the status of the shitholes, what did you make of the interviewer's reaction when you were cut off? Oh yeah, so Gamal Fambouleh says, when I got cut off, says, what a crying shame. And I could still hear him, and I could hear that, and I guess he couldn't hear me. I just think he outed himself. You give these people enough rope and they'll out themselves. I didn't need to say anything. I could have come back and said, what did you mean by what a crying shame, you sarcastic bugger? But I think the audience saw it. Aaron Pete, did you attend the meeting between Bannon and Rees-Mogg? I organised the meeting. Do you mind? Yes, I did attend. So fine. Have I got a YouTube channel? I do. I don't use it that much, but I probably will start doing it a bit more. Wayne Hallam asks. So yes, I guess. George Marsh, what do you think of Piers Morgan? I go through cycles with Piers Morgan of following him and unfollowing him on Twitter, because I think he's right when he calls up people like Sadiq Khan on television and can have some fantastic moments. On the other hand, he talks about things like the Second Amendment in the United States, which he gets so phenomenally far and emotionally wrong. It frustrates me to the point where I have to unfollow him. I actually just refollowed him yesterday, so we'll see how long that lasts. Let's keep going. Patty Lambert says, there's lots of likes, don't worry. Lots of hearts and likes, no angry. They're all thumbs up and hearts. All right, thank you. Eileen Bedford says, you're a breath of fresh air. See, that's the phrase that everyone's been using. And I keep saying, yeah, fine, but I'd like all of us to be breaths of fresh air, because if we're all breaths of fresh air, then a massive wind sweeps away all the shit we're having to deal with at the moment. And I think all of you need to be getting engaged at some level. I know you're busy, I know you have lives, I know you have jobs, and I know times are tight financially. But what else are we going to do? Are you really going to rely on somebody like me and Nigel and Katie Hopkins? Are you just going to rely on half a dozen of us or a dozen of us to win the country back? You know, when George Soros is putting $16 billion worth of money into his Open Society foundations to thwart Brexit and to stop people who care about their country and love their countries, is it really just upon a handful of us? I think it's on all of us, and I don't think you should herald any of us as leaders. I think we all have to be side by side in this fight. I'm sorry, I'm going off on one. Please send the link to the Patreon so we deplorables can support your efforts. Yes, that would be very, very nice. The link is up here, patreon.com/Raheem Kassam, and I'll drop it into the comment section once we get off here as well. Hello from a Brit living in Hong Kong that refuses to live in the UK because of the shithole it's become. That's what I said. Joshua Brannan, I've ordered your book here in the UK and look forward to reading it. You're my new hero, Raheem. Okay, I realise I have a book plug, and I didn't plan, so I'm going to grab one here and show you, for those of you that don't know. This is my book. I suppose I could just put it here. This is my book. I wrote it last year. I went to a bunch of the no-go zones across Europe and did actual reporting. Can you believe it? So there's eyewitness testimony in there, interviews with major players from around Europe, former police chiefs, the things that the mainstream media won't tell you. The foreword was written by Nigel Farage. It's called No-Go Zones. how Sharia law is coming to a neighbourhood near you. This one is actually signed by Nigel Farage, and I'm going to sign it as well. And I want to give this one away to one of you guys. So I'll think of some sort of competition over the next couple of days and give this one away on the Facebook page. Maybe to the people who sign up on Patreon. Joanne Brolin says you're doing great. Heart, 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 heart. Okay, thank you. Let's keep going. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more here. Should Blair be tried in court? Obviously. Tony Blair ruined the country almost like no one else ever. I mean, from the education system through down to corporatism, Tony Blair ruined the United Kingdom, opening the borders to the EU in 2004. I mean, willfully ruined the country in a way like no other person ever has. Ever, ever, ever has. David Rendell says Mayo is only good in the bin. I disagree. Mayo is amazing on everything. Angelika Ulanova says, tuning in from Canada. Hello to my Canadian friends and cousins. You guys need to take back your country from the pajama boy that is Justin Trudeau. Luis Gomez says, what are your views on the H&M advert? I think this is the monkey advert. So there was an H&M advert where a black kid was wearing a hoodie or was asked to wear a hoodie for a photo shoot that said something, cheeky little monkey or something like that, I forget. And everybody went, oh, this is racist, it's racist. No. Parents call their kids cheeky little monkeys. And whoever found that racist, I would argue, are the ones who look at black people and see monkeys. That if you make that connection in your head, you're the racist person. That's my response to the H&M advert. Let's see. Lots and lots and lots. Can I get a radio show in the UK? Yeah, I'd love to do that. I'm actually working with some producers here in the US, talking about bringing them over and helping us develop a daily radio show, podcast, whatever it is. There needs to be something for us, right? Let's keep going. Becky West. Sorry, I didn't get your question. You said, I hope my last post didn't upset you. I didn't see it, so if you could ask the question again, please. Gosh, so many comments here. I'm just going to keep scrolling for a minute because I'm a little bit behind. What do you play on your Xbox? Alright, at the moment I'm playing Fortnite, which will mean nothing to a lot of you, I'm sure. I like to play FIFA. I like the journey mode. I also have Grand Theft Auto. But really, a lot of people ask, why do you, because I like to read and everything, and they're like, why do you waste time playing on your Xbox? And genuinely, it's I end up doing more thinking while I'm playing on my Xbox, and it gives me some processing time. I don't know how stupid that sounds, but it's kind of like a mindless thing that you don't put much importance upon. Because what do I care if I die in Call of Duty? Allows me in the back of my mind to sort of process more things. And yeah, there was a time where I tried to stop playing on my Xbox and start using that time to do more productive things. But actually, we all need some downtime, and so I just started making sure that at least I get one game of Fortnite in a day, which is, I guess, one game of Fortnite is about 5 to 10 minutes long, but it just gives me some time to process things. Yes, a lot of you keep talking about the White Pen Dragons issuing a writ to arrest Sadiq Khan at Quaker House on the Euston Road. It was the lead story on Breitbart London today. I know, thank you. We're aware of it. We promoted it. Please share the article and spread it. Sorry, I just got frustrated there because so many people saying the same thing. It's like, check the site, guys. Like, we're doing it. We're doing the work that you want us to do already. I'm still. Lots of you asking for the signed book. James Leadham says, "Pajama boy, you mean a soy boy?" Yeah, same thing, but pajama boy is also a thing. Look up, Google pajama boy, and you'll know what I mean. The Americans know what pajama boy is. Melissa McDonald says, "Raheem, thank you for constantly being a source of unbiased, relevant information. You provide a perspective as an international journalist that many of our American journalists have lost or neglected. Keep up the great work and stay true to your journalistic principles. We're so appreciative." Well, thank you. Glenn Teal says, "I called my nephew a cheeky cubby monkey." Obviously, you're a racist, Glenn. Yes, it's the shirt said "coolest monkey in the jungle." I want by the way, I want that. Can somebody send me that? I'd love to wear that. Let's keep going. Oh, look, some people know Fortnite. There you go. Lovely. Yes, Marty Kane's back. Marty Kane knows a thing or two about my Facebook lives. He's got a cheeky little face there. Do I ever play PUBG? No, it's too laggy on the Xbox. PUBG. Good night, Linda. I guess some people clocking off now because it's late in the United Kingdom. Neil Bell asks, "Have you always been on the political right? I'm a convert from the left." Okay, so when I was at university, I was I wasn't a member, but I was a Blairite. I was a supporter of the Iraq War, and I recant about that as much as possible nowadays. I bought it. I bought the whole Cool Britannia thing. I bought the "things can only get better" slogan. And I actually even voted Liberal Democrat once, but not because I like the Liberal Democrats, more because in my constituency, the Tory Member of Parliament, who was a chap called John Randall at the time, had become so boring and uninspiring that I just thought he needed a kick, and so that was a bit of my protest vote. So I had to put that. I had to put this down to explain that because I'm so embarrassed by it. Pauline Smith says, "Tell us about Q." What Q? I don't know what Q means. Do I know what Q means? Tell us about Q. Q. Like the Star Trek thing? Would I ever run to be an MP? No, I think you can get more done without. And actually, I wouldn't want to be bogged down by a lot of the things MPs have to deal with. Inundated by 38 degrees and all this kind of stuff. I don't think it's worth it. But I think you should all run to be MPs if you want to be involved. Why not? Okay, fine. I've got to the end of the comments here. Oh, and now the comment section's crashed. How wonderful. Okay. Q anon on 8chan. I don't know what that means. I think I replied to you, Stephen Goron says, "Book in large print." No, there isn't one in large print, I'm afraid. There's an audio book, and you can get it on a Kindle, which you can increase the font on. What's Q? I don't know what Q is. Am I missing something here? I'm missing something, clearly. Somebody explain what that means. Oh, some more comments. I think you're developing a Western accent. What does that mean? What do you think about the Queen manhandling her crown on the BBC? I didn't see that. Thoughts on Owen Jones? Owen Jones is a fraud. He pretends to be for the people, but he has almost nothing to do with real people. I mean, really has nothing to do with real people. He's a Marxist. He's an outright commie who has supported terrorists like the IRA. He's a complete fraud. And I think he routinely embarrasses himself on TV, doesn't he? Which broadcaster do you feel has the biggest problem with Brexit? The BBC, obviously. I mean, they were an anti-Brexit campaign group. Naomi says, when my 3-year-old hears you on the Patriot channel, she says, it's Raheem, makes me proud. That's awesome. All right, do I think Nigel Farage will ever be Prime Minister? No. Our system is a first past the post system, a lot like the American system. It's not a proportional representation system. It's designed to keep out smaller parties. I think we should change that, by the way. I want to hear your thoughts on that. I think we should change that to a proportional representation system, a real proportional representation system, not an AV system like we were given a referendum on in 2011. I think the smaller parties like UKIP would have got serious representation in the House of Commons. I think we would have got 99 seats in 2015 if we had a PR system. Instead, we got 1 seat, which really actually wasn't a seat because Douglas Carswell was a fraud himself. So I think we need to change the voting system, and until we change the voting system, people like Nigel and me could never become Prime Minister. Clive Robert Watson says, what now for Bannon? I don't know. You'll have to ask him. Jody Case, hashtag Team Raheem. Who knows, Jody? That was the slogan we used last time at the UKIP leadership election, for those that don't know. Rob Gainsborough says, fascinating listening, but I've got to call it a night. Good night to you, sir. Jonathan Markham says, I actually agree with First Past the Post. I'd be interested to hear why. C. Ward says, can we listen to your radio show in the UK? I think you can sign up to Sirius XM from the UK. It's channel 125. It's the Patriot channel. Thoughts on Europe turning more right? Hungary, Austria, etc. Yeah, etc. Poland, the Czech Republic. What we're going to see in Italy in a couple of months' time, I think. Yeah, I think it could only be a good thing. Mark Painter says, good night. Good night to you, Mark Painter. Will I be speaking at any American campuses? Nah, I don't know about that. I'm not really the sort of guy that likes to go and cause a ruckus on campuses. And nowadays, when anybody from the right goes onto campuses, it immediately causes a ruckus. And I don't know how much that does for the message. I think it kind of sometimes looks intentionally provocative. I might go. I mean, I've been asked a bunch. I don't know. I really don't want to. I really don't want to seem like I'm sort of doing that for attention seeking or anything like that. So I'm in two minds about it. I'd rather do a panel discussion, something like that, where we can actually have a debate between lefties, righties, centries, nothingies on a campus somewhere. But going on to give a speech seems a little self-aggrandizing. And frankly, I'm 31 years old. I'm not sure I can impart much more to the people that would come to that lecture than they already know. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too modest. James Adlington says, we love the way you say shithole. Well, how do you say it? Shithole. Jonathan Cantrell, hello from the US of A. It's quite a joy to hear you speak, sir, and I see you're still not wearing your poppy. Damn it, you got me again. I'm still not wearing my poppy. Do you know what's funny? I've started ordering English food from this place called Parker's in Buffalo, New York. They send over like Waitrose food. So I've got like a bunch of mince pies, which are not made of meat for the Americans in here. And I've got English back bacon and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I ordered a new Parker's delivery yesterday. I'm doing free advertising for them here, by the way. I ordered a new Parker's delivery yesterday, and one of the things I ordered was a poppy. Just so I've got one ready for November. Matthew James Brown says, are we going to get Brexit? I think that relies on you guys. I think a lot of that relies on how much you're willing to have your voices heard, how much you're willing to get out there in the street, how many street stalls you're willing to participate in, how many doors you're willing to knock on, how many donations you're willing to give to the people who are fighting for that, how many neighbours and colleagues and friends and family members you're willing to talk and bend the ear of to convince that something must be done. Otherwise, no, you're not going to get it. Why would they give it to you? Why would they give you your country back? They've got it. It's theirs. They run it. They profit off it. Why are they just going to hand it back? Good night from Irene Sandbrook in London. Brett Holden says, if I was terrible at my job, I'd have been sacked. Why hasn't Khan? Yeah, you tell me. In 1 year, knife crime up 30-odd%, rape up 80-odd%, youth homicide up 70-odd%, burglaries up 30-odd%. And what's he doing? What's he doing? You know, he's complaining that there are... Okay, here's the thing I often hear back from people. He complains, oh yeah, but Raheem, there have been police budget cuts from central government, and that's why Khan can't fund the police in London. Firstly, not all of the London police budget comes from the central government. Secondly, there has been a 1% cut in the last year of frontline policing numbers, but double-digit rises in crime. Now, what you're telling me effectively is that those 3,000 frontline policemen that were cut were basically all Batman, if that's what happens when they leave. Well, obviously that's a nonsense. And the last thing is, I went through Mayor Khan's budget for the last year, and you can find the savings in that budget that would allow him to spend more money on policing if he wants. But he doesn't. He'd rather people are stabbed, raped, burgled, killed in London so he can make a political point about budget cuts. I'll say it again. Sadiq Khan would rather have people stabbed, raped, burgled, killed in London to make a political point than he will find the savings in his own budget to pay for more police officers. If I can find it, you know, his army of London bureaucrats can find it, but they don't want to. They don't want to. And if you think I'm lying or making that up, go into the budget yourselves. Have a look. We're building £3.5 billion worth of new affordable housing in London. 90% of it is going towards new migrants. Stop mass migration. There you go. You got a bunch more money immediately. All this money I could just go on and on and on about this. All this money that he's been wasting on frivolous projects across London. Oh, we're going to plant, 20,000 new trees. I like trees as well. But how about we stop people getting stabbed and shot and raped? How about we start there? Then we can think about trees. Sorry, gone on a rant again. Sorry. You need to do this at 10 p.m. UK. Yeah, I'll do it at 10 p.m. or earlier next time. Sorry, I know a lot of people are having to drop off. Big Dunk Gibb says... Good night from Heidi Peroda in Oxford. Good night. Lindsay Croston says, you're so cute, and sends me a kissy face. Well, kissy kissy to you too. Kim Dudley says, smoked or unsmoked bacon? Both. I think there is a time and a place for both. I like unsmoked in a bacon sandwich, and I like smoked with a full English breakfast. Lee Rymel says, what do you think of Tommy Robinson? I've already answered the question. You can rewind. What can we do to get Khan out, says Sharon Cooper. Start going to your council meetings. Start writing letters to the assembly members in the London Assembly. Start picketing outside his office. I love doing this with you guys, but I'm not your frustration valve, right? To have a moan with, and then just go back and think, oh, I've done my part because I watched the video and I left a comment and I might have shared it. Like all those things, fine, brilliant that we reach more people, but you actually have to do something in person as well. These white pen dragons, no matter what you think of them, if you think they can arrest the Mayor of London or whatever it is, I don't believe that I don't believe that that's going to come to anything as in a real citizen's arrest, but they brought a massive attention onto what bad job Sadiq Khan is doing by going and protesting at his event on the Quaker House on the Euston Road yesterday. So do things like that. Start petitioning. Go around your neighbourhood. Just go up and down your street and knock on every other door and say, do you think Sadiq Khan's doing a good job? If not, here's a website I read that you should share, and here's a petition that we can sign together, or do you fancy protesting with me about it? Do you fancy doing something about it? Brits used to have this incredible sense of purpose around civic society, that what they would build as civic society, and that got replaced by socialism. Effectively, we were told that the government is now there to do everything for us, so you don't need to worry about any of it. but leave it down to the experts. The number of people who I have saying to me, "Oh, but Raheem, I'd love to get involved, but I'm not smart enough, or I'm not well read enough, or I'm not educated enough." I went to a crappy state school, and then I went to a crappy university. I'm an autodidact, right? I just taught myself, and there's no reason that you can't do that as well. Just turn the frickin' TV off, okay? Turn EastEnders off and read a frickin' book. Find out what your predecessors were doing, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents were doing. They weren't plonked in front of the TV watching the Kardashians. That's the problem. I'm going to call it in a minute because it's been an hour and 5 minutes now. But I'm just going to scroll to the end of this here. Yeah, Paul James says, don't forget about the acid attacks. London is the acid attack capital of the world right now. Per capita. Unbelievable. Is Sadiq Khan a threat to Great Britain? Absolutely. London is socially a failure, in all fairness. Yeah, because there's no sense of community left. Because everything's big glass and steel buildings, affordable housing. Everybody's crammed into London. What's the population now? The official population is what? 9 million or something? But what's the real population? 11? 12? 14? All right, Jody goes to sleep. Good night. I live in the US and I'm a Londoner, says Sharon Cooper. Full English breakfast, can't beat it. Make this weekly, Raheem. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll do it weekly. All right, but here's the deal, right? Because this is time and it's effort and whatever. Here's the deal. If I do this weekly, I want to hear from you guys about what you're doing as well, right? I want to hear when the last council meeting you went to, what the last letter you wrote to your MPs about, or your congressman, or whatever it is. We can do this as a whole transatlantic thing, okay? This is not just for Brits. It's not for Americans. It's everyone. I want to hear what you guys are doing. I don't want just to be me spouting off. And then we can learn from each other. Maybe we'll learn lessons along the way together. How about that? Because I don't remember the last time I went to my council meeting. Maybe you guys can teach me a thing or two. And if you can't, at the very least, if you cannot take any active steps to be an active, functioning, engaged citizen, a fighter, a warrior, if you can't do anything yourself to walk towards the fire, then at the very least, take £5, take £10, and give it to a cause you believe in. You can give it to leave.eu, you can give it to me, patreon.com/Raheem Kassam. You can give it to your I don't care if it's a Labour candidate or a Tory candidate or whatever it is. If you believe in something, do something about it. All right, last scroll through here, and I'm going to get right to the bottom of this just to make sure there's nothing I'm missing here. Okay, I'm at the bottom, guys. So, I think, this is great, and I thank you for joining me, especially you. You're a good-looking guy. I thank you for joining me. This was as much about me getting stuff off my chest after going through thousands and thousands of your messages over the course of the last... I sat here for 4 hours this afternoon going through them all, and people saying, yeah, good job on Sky, but, we don't really do anything ourselves. And I had to get it off my chest that we've got to stand together in the trenches. We have to fight together in the trenches. This can't be about you appointing certain leaders and just hoping they get the job done. Not least because those leaders will let you down every so often, right? Just think to yourselves, whether it's Donald Trump potentially doing an illegal migration DACA amnesty deal with the Democrats, whether it's Henry Bolton, and what he's been up to, the leader of UKIP, what he's been up to, whether it's Nigel Farage floating the second referendum, those leaders will let you down at some points, right? And so you need to do things yourself too. Can't just be appointing people to speak for you. Speak for yourself. Good night to you all and good luck. Share this video when you clock off, and hit me up on Patreon, patreon.com /Raheem Kassam. Follow me, Twitter, Facebook, SiriusXM 125, the Patriot channel, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I'll be there. Have a good night.